What's good, YouTube? There's been some changes to the cards in Japan, which should follow in the USA. There's almost no way this will not translate over here. I would expect something like Astral Packs slash the OP Packs to have these, since Astral Packs are no longer with us. But it should have been really obvious that Ground Collapse was not going to be able to hit the extra monster zone, and that the main monster zones are what became of the monster zone. It literally said in the first updates, the monster zone is now the main monster zone. And then there's the addition of the extra monster zone. So cards that specify the monster zone or field are going to be turned to, say, the main monster zone. So Ground Collapse, the main one that people went and bought and spent their money on, and that I said, hey, don't do this. There were other tubers like CapG that said, hey, don't do this. And I think almost every single tuber had the consensus of, hey, don't get Gravity Collapse, or Ground Collapse, my bad. Ground Collapse. And people went and spent like $3, $4, sometimes $5 on these. There were actual sales. I'm sorry for your wallets. Rest in peace if you thought you were ahead of the curve, if you were preparing to lock people out of their extra monster zones. But you can still use it for the most commonly indicated extra markers. But I still don't think that this card will be any good, see any play. It's just so easy to turn off if this ever became popular. On top of there being new spell and trap destruction, such as our new heavy dust storm and that sort of stuff. I just think that there was no way that this was ever getting played. Let's be honest. And already the errata makes it like it's not going to be there at all anyway. So, other random monsters, Zany Zebra. I know this was actually interestingly talked about and like joked about as being a tech. So, select one unused main monster zone or spell and trap zone. And its pendulum effect now says, select one unused main monster zone or spell and trap zone. So, it's just to clarify, basically anything that said monster zone is going to become main monster zone generically. Magical Hats now says, choose 2 spell and trap cards from your deck and 1 monster in your main monster zone. Set the chosen monster if it's face up and shuffle them into your main monster zone. So, interestingly enough, you actually, if you had a properly summoned like Xyz or Fusion in your extra monster zone, you could not include it into the effect of Magical Hats now. So that's kind of a twist. Of course, you couldn't use a Link monster because they cannot be set, period, even by card effects. They have no defense. They cannot go face down. And something that ends the trolling of years and years of this card being mentioned, this card being brought up into conversation. Darkness Approaches finally got the confirmation that you cannot break the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! And set a monster in face-down attack position. I remember back in 2007, we'd be at Shonen Jumps, and there were people that cited it, and like, I promised my friend if I got in a feature match, I'd use this, that sort of thing. People loved this card for the fact that it would just be the trolliest thing and break kind of the game mechanics, and no longer does it break the game mechanics, because instead of people were kind of joking around like, hey, I'll put there, it won't go in face down defense, it'll go in face down attack. And Darkness Approaches now says, change that monster to face down defense position. I remember the jokes. They were so good. I really enjoyed them. So let's see what else is going to get changed. The following cards with text. Ground Collapse. Number 57, Tri-Head Dust Dragon. Needle Wall. Numbing Grub of the Ice Barrier, and Zany Zebra. The following cards with text that used to say field now say main monster zone as well. Shifting Shadows, Wandering Mummy, and Magical Hat. So it just actually kind of locks Magical Hats out. It's kind of an interesting force clause. Ooh. So, Blasting Fuse now says, if the column the set card in is filled, replacing the old OCG text of if every card zone on your opponent and your side of the field in the same column as this card is filled, because the extra monster zone does not belong to a specific player until it's been taken. But if you try to Blasting the Fuse a column with an extra monster zone, that one must be filled as well. If you're not feeling a little bit confused by this, it's okay. It's kind of how the OCG words card. So It sounds like you can lay it across the ways from the extra monster zone, have a monster in front, but they would have to not only have their extra monster zone field, the monster zone behind it, and their spell and trap. So I don't think that's good still, even though it's like, surprise, it just doesn't seem good. So what do you guys think about this change? I think it was pretty obvious that Monster Zone was just going to become main Monster Zone on text. Do you know anybody who went out and bragged to you about Ground Collapse, about Ojama King, you know, filling up the spaces? What are some other cards that people tried to like spin off to you that you know just don't work at all now? I'm sad at the loss of our troll card, Darkness Approaches, but the rest of this, it all makes sense. It's all healthy for the game, I think. You know, having one card that could, even though I don't think it would have been used that much, still locking out the extra monster zone, quote unquote. I don't think it would have been that good. Thanks for watching, guys.